All right, welcome back to At Your Peak. Ryan Kibbe talking about honor all week, and we're going to be on this subject for a while. And yesterday we opened up the door to the relationship between King Saul and King David. And as a leader, I mean, Saul did a lot of things wrong. He did a few things right. But his insecurity, his jealousy, his bitterness, his fault finding, all of that stuff drove him crazy, and he literally began to throw spears at his protege and a guy, David, who would later be king of Israel, and his replacement. He totally trashed on David. And so David at some point had to just say, you know what, if I keep staying here as crazy as Saul is acting towards me, I'm going to have to leave or he's going to wind up killing me. And so then David goes on the run, and literally King Saul, who was jealous of David for slaying Goliath, and David had the adoration of so many people. Saul then moves into serious dishonor, which is manifested disrespect. I think trying to kill someone is the epitome of dishonor. But David's on the run now. And so today's talk I want to talk about is called Don't Cave in a Crisis. Don't cave in a crisis. And what happens is David's on the run and he winds up in a cave at this pivotal scene in 1 Samuel 22. So David left Gath and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And soon his brothers and all of his relatives joined him there. Then others began coming, men who were in trouble or in debt or were just discontented. These would eventually later become David's mighty men, but he had all these ragtag people that were on the run from Saul or just angry or disenfranchised, discontented. This reluctant leader, David, finds himself leading all these people. So where he's at now, he's caught in a cave because of where he's positioned. He's in a cave, and Saul is right there. See, he's on the run. David's hurting. He's emotionally depressed at times. You read the Psalms, you see it. You see David's emotions right on his sleeve. Well, now he's in a cave with the malcontents, the rejects, the misfits, and some really wounded, dysfunctional people. But this is what you need to understand. What the devil means for harm, God can use for good. And the cave becomes David's rehab center. We'll call it the AA of anger management. I mean, it is a place that all of these people God starts working on their issues. But where they're at in this place is unfair. He didn't want to be in a cave, but he's caught in a cave. It's not how it's supposed to be. Think about how David's feeling. I'm the anointed king. This guy Saul's a madman. God, you put me with these people? These malcontents? Are you kidding me, God? This is not far from the reality of what he was probably feeling. And I think we've been there too at times. So point 2, when you're caught in a cave, don't cave in a crisis. Start praising your God. And David can be found doing this in the Psalms. While he's on the run. He was on a run for 10 plus years before he eventually became king. He never touched Saul, other than one time cut off his robe. But he never killed him because he didn't want to touch God's anointed. His response was, he praised God. The cave was not David's destiny. Being a king was. And the cave is not your destiny. It's your university. Some of you may feel like you're caught in a cave right now. You're in this rock and a hard place. Well, God has something to say about this. In the caves, it can be dark, it can be lonely, but it's also a place like David. It was a place of preparation, trust, and humility. God was still working on David to get the Saul out of David. Caves become universities where we can learn to not act like our predecessor. Sometimes those places are training grounds for what not to do, not just what to do. It's a place of preparation. Here's a question to ponder. What's your cave? The cross was Jesus's darkest hour, but it was also the place that launched him into redeeming all of humanity to bring his sons and daughters back to him Saturday was silent, but Sunday was resurrection day. Friday was the cross. Saturday was silent, the cave, but Sunday's resurrection day. You may be in a cave, but there's a place and a purpose to it. What's your cave? And what is God saying to you as you prepare? And do you see it as a prison or do you see it as a university, a place to grow in Him? We'll talk more about this tomorrow.